Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. It's Championship Sunday here in Madrid. 4 teams go into the final day. Only one can come out on top. Thieves or FaZe, certainly the favourites. 2 surprise packages though. How could they get on today with only one team able to lift the trophy? Dashy, after OpTic got eliminated on the Friday, gives his first perspective on his underwhelming performances this weekend. Load of drama on the day. Very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. First of all, thought this is pretty cool actually. Jared Byrne, I think we saw the other day that he was watching just the COD or Scump stream or something like that. He's been watching Scump's watch party over the last few days, and to be fair, given the fact that it's been in Europe and obviously all the associated time zone situations with that, it's definitely one of these tournaments where I think the CDL will not want to run too many European tournaments a year. Honestly, at this point, if we get 1 a year, like, you know, I'm happy with that compared to having 0 a year for the last basically half a decade at this point. So the idea of actually having an event every season in Europe somewhere would be great. I think the CDL will probably prefer, given, you know, the time zones and stuff. I know lots of you guys, by the time you wake up in the morning, 1 or 2 series have already been done, right? And it's still not a great time zone for Australia, but it is a great time zone to be here and to be in Europe in general. I've like really enjoyed the way that the weekends have played out, and it's been great to see so many UK, Irish, all around Europe fans this weekend again, in addition to French, Spanish, whatever. Like, we've seen so many, it's been brilliant. So yeah, I think that's a talking point really, that even though the time zones aren't exactly optimal for North American viewership, I still think that in the OpTic versus Gentlemate series there was easily 200,000+ viewers. So yeah, maybe the time zone hurt some things at some times. But let's talk about a couple of these series yesterday, because TJHaLy, man, what a guy. Like, the fact that this team has managed to make it, it's not just TJ, although TJ does deserve a huge amount of credit here for their success and their turnaround. I think there's a few factors at play really. Vivid, for some reason, since his issue with his eye on the first day, he's just been playing on a different level, right? Like, this guy's actually turned up as a result. Gwinn has been pretty good, certainly better than maybe he was on LAN last year, and this is Gwynn's first Championship Sunday, right, that he's made, and it's TJ's first in a very, very long time indeed. I think Slasher as well deserves an awful lot of credit too, right? Obviously, we know that, you know, you guys know that I gas up Slasher quite a lot. I felt like Slasher is a player that always tends to get overlooked as an AR in the league, as the veteran AR of the league. There was that trio really over the last few years: Slasher, basically Accuracy, and Clay. Those are like the 3 guys, the old school ARs, and I felt like of those 3, Slasher always had more to give maybe at this point in his career than the others have done. I know that people have said for a long time, our Slasher's washed up and all this type of stuff, and look, it's not like he's frying dropping 1.2s, but which AR actually is in this game right now? It's mainly SMGs doing the damage. If your AR is at a 1.0, that's actually pretty good at the moment, to be honest, because it's only really Cellium, and I mean, even Dashy this tournament had a 0.8, right? Dashy had a 0.82 this tournament. I think that's in the hard points. Maybe overall it was like a 0.85, 0.9, something like that. But it was not pretty, obviously. And even Scrappy, who's still had good numbers this season, it's not like he's taking over every single series. So I think Slasher, at the moment, given the way the meta currently is absolutely holding his own. We also know that Slasher and TJ, but, you know, Slasher's search and destroy style, spread the map, play for picks, take it from there. Like, that type of S&D is never going to go away in COD, and it's brought him success for, you know, basically a decade at this point, and it may well continue to do so into the future. So I think all the guys deserve credit on the Ravens. Certainly after what happens, like, post the minor, their hardpoint looked really bad. I was like, oh my god, this team might not be the dark horse that I was kind of hoping they would be. But yeah, it turns out here they are on the Championship Sunday. Lots of it, of course, thanks to Tej. Even Drazah giving him some gas here and saying money Tej. I thought it was pretty nice. Of course, who knows if Drazah would play Tej today. I think that, like, realistically, if FaZe ever do play Ravens for the rest of this tournament, it's probably, based on what we saw at the minor and elsewhere, not going to be that pretty. But who knows? I mean, you know, maybe you can't rule out TJ. Certainly the LAN environment. Even Slasher was talking about this, right? GG's Toronto 1-3-2 onto the Sunday. Didn't play COD for 6 months because, of course, last year he was on Boston, played the first major, had a 1.4 in like one of the series they played, ended up off the team. They made the changes, and yeah, obviously Slasher, well, you'd think towards the end of his career, but I don't think the Slasher is ever going to, I think he's just that type of guy. He's never going to want to put down COD if he can still play on a high level professionally. So yeah, it's great to see Slasher back on a championship Sunday. I thought it was a really great story, and there's some interesting stats about it, I think, as well. I guess for Boston, they've also got to consider something, right? Like, there's no doubt that Snoopy keeping him around has been the correct decision, I think. Certainly on this game, they obviously found Snoopy as a talent, they nurtured him as a talent, maybe not as well as they could have done, but whatever, and now Snoopy looks like, you know, maybe top 10 player in the game, looks very, very good. But still, Boston came top 12, and Slasher's team is top 4 guaranteed. So after a bit of a beef they had last season, there might be some thinking from Boston that they could have taken things a different way. Could they have maybe found a way to better nurture the relationship between Slasher and Snoopy, and maybe they could have still been a duo to the present day. Maybe that was never going to happen, but I thought this is interesting as well, that Slasher now gets to his 10th different title with a top 4 placing at bare minimum, which is pretty impressive. I could think, look, to me, in terms of the all-time discussion, who's the best player ever, this type of stuff, longevity plays a massively important part to me. That's why guys like JCap, I tend to give more credit in the top 10 list or the top players list ever than most people do, just because he was around forever, and he did it on so many different games, on so many different teams for so long, at a very high level, and won 2 world championships along the way. Slasher, not too dissimilar. Obviously, he's only a one-time world champion back in 2016 in Black Ops 3 on Envy, but still, Slasher is up there with the greatest ever in terms of most titles being consistent on. Scump still holds the record, and another couple of games for Slasher, maybe this could be a different tune indeed. But it will be at TJHaLy's first championship Sunday since Vanguard Major 2. That was when, of course, Boston turned up with this roster. This, of course, when Zinni was absolutely popping off that stage. I mean, he obviously talks about this one quite a lot at a 98 overall, but TJ was also pretty good this stage as well, when he was on the Boston days, of course. And yeah, his first championship Sunday since all the way back then. Thought it was nice as well to see some love for Rencor. Of course, he's made it here to the championship Sunday for the first time in his career. And also notably for him, right? Because he's a rookie. And, well, let's be honest. Has he got much competition for Rookie of the Year? No. I mean, there are a couple of guys on Falcons. There's Xnid. I mean, Kix would have been in the convo, but he's obviously back in Saudi right now for a reason that we don't really know the answer to. And then obviously, you've got, as I say, Xnid. The other Saudi guys on Falcons not really up to speed. So Rencor is quite clearly, unless somebody comes in as a rookie, and it's not impossible, after this event, Lunas, someone like that could come in, have a great debut season. But of course, even the other guys, they might be looking to sign some of these teams. The likes of, let's say, Neptune. He's been in the league before. So Rencor is absolutely the front runner to be the Rookie of the Year. He played excellent yesterday, has done the tournament so far, and he becomes one of relatively few players to have made a Sunday on their debut LAN. So, Hicksy, of course, won his first ever event, which was remarkable. Shotzzy, Illy, Ghosty, Nastie, these guys, their first ever, LAN events, they placed very well. Scrappy was 4th at his first one. Lynz was 4th at his first one last year on Rocker. And then Rencor is 4th as well, or maybe better, who knows, 4th bare minimum for the Miami Heretics. I don't think they're getting past 3rd, but it's not impossible that they take this tournament the distance in a very interesting manner indeed. Scrappy was talking, of course, having won against Miami, didn't, as I say, really do that much that series, but Thieves have definitely looked pretty good. To be honest, I'm not surprised. Like, Thieves turning up to LAN, I never expected them to, be underwhelming, I think. They brought the whole team out here. It was always possible that they could have a bit of a stinker tournament, but I felt like looking at the big teams, unfortunately for OpTic, the one that's most kind of, prone to having a bit of a stinker tourney is OpTic, it tends to be. As I said the other day, the chances that OpTic or FaZe or maybe even Thieves win the tournament feel quite similar. But when FaZe lose, they're 2nd or 3rd. When OpTic lose, they're 8th or 12th or something pretty bad. I mean, we saw some of the numbers yesterday, I think, when with Scrappy, and not Scrappy, with Shotzzy and Dashy, when they've teamed together before, they've played like 20 events now. 8 of them, they've been, I think, top 6 or worse, which is pretty bad, really. But they've also won a fair few in there as well, and they're world champions, right? So the OpTic story is still kind of confusing. We'll get into it in the coming days. And honestly, if you look at Thieves' run, their run might have been harder than FaZe's. I think on paper, right, FaZe maybe had the better side of the bracket, but FaZe ended up playing a Boston team who went out top 12. They then played a Toronto team who beat, Surge, right? And that's all they did. I mean, like, Toronto then went out of the tournament after that as well. So I thought Toronto were better, and I think they are better than they showed in their placing. But still, if you look at FaZe's run, they've beat two teams that actually look pretty underwhelming. However, they've lost 0 maps. Scrappy and the boys have lost 1 map. They, of course, 3-0'd Miami, and in the first round they played Ravens and they won 3-1. But they were still relatively impressive results. So I think it sets up today to be pretty damn exciting indeed. This is cool as well. I didn't know what the OpTic guys were going to do after everything was over. I was telling a couple of people yesterday, after everything is said and done with the team and they're out of the tournament, I don't believe they can just come back into the venue and scrim. Like, they can come back into the venue if they want. They can go watch the matches, whatever, like, that's fine. But the practice areas tend to just be reserved for the teams that are still in the tournament. So it's tough, because OpTic, I'm sure, might have liked to go back and maybe get some practice scrims in or something. But I don't think that's how it is. However, they are coming back to the venue. They're going to be at the Scuff booth today. So if you guys are at the venue today, at the Magic Box, 3:30 p.m. local time, so it's half an hour before the first match starts, they're going to do a meet and greet. So I thought this is actually really great to see that OpTic decided to do it. As Shotzzy says, we never get events out of the country, very rarely anyway. Obviously, there are Toronto ones, but you know what he means. It'd be cool to meet you guys tomorrow, he says. So yeah, if you guys are here at the venue, then I know people have been asking me throughout the weekend, are they doing any more meet and greets? This is your chance to meet Shotzzy and the OpTic guys today in a few hours' time. This is from Dashy, though, because, as I said earlier, the numbers don't look good for him, and understandably, he was surprisingly probably their worst player of the weekend, to be honest. I was looking at the scoreboard thinking, like, I was expecting Dashy to be, I don't know, 14 and 11 or something, but instead he was 7 and 9, or, like, there wasn't really as much impact as I thought there'd be in terms of, like, kills per 10 minutes, but also KD and impact, and okay, he had some clutches. His search and destroy is always going to be good, but as he says, played awful this weekend. That's just how it be sometimes. Appreciate all the support as always. You guys are insane everywhere. Eyes forward to Major 2. So that's the point, right? Like next Major is in Dallas. OpTic will look to bounce back for that one. The first event of the season always has some surprises. The fact that we have Heretics and Ravens on a championship Sunday, that is surprising. I think there's no other way to look at it. But it's great for the scene, actually, that we have the potential of these upsets. Like, I thought that there would be, let's say, there's 6 events this season, including EWC. I was expecting at least 4 of them to have, maybe 5 or even 6 to have the big 3 on the Sunday. But and look, we have FaZe and Thieves. We don't have OpTic this time. Maybe another time we'll have, OpTic and Thieves and no FaZe. Well, that's pretty unlikely. FaZe always make the Sunday. But you know what I'm saying? It's good that we've got other teams in the mix. Of course, at the end of the day, Major 1 can be not fluky, but if there's any major which is a bit more unpredictable, it does tend to be the first event of the year. So I don't think Dashy and OpTic should be too disheartened. But well, I don't know about that one, because they played terribly, so they've got a lot to think about. They know they're way better than they showed. I think that's the main point. But of course, they did not play anywhere near that level on LAN. And the other problem is for OpTic, not even OpTic, but I know that lots of OpTic fans will go into the upcoming stage, and OpTic might go 7-0 in the upcoming qualifiers and win the minor. But there's going to be plenty of fans who will be like, well, I want to see it on LAN before I'm going to be confident that they've turned it around. So, and also, quick to note, OpTic's first game back after this major is against FaZe. That's their first qualifier. So, and FaZe might win the whole tourney. So we'll see what happens today. Thieves, though, versus FaZe, that's a big one. These are the prize pools. 150,000 for first, 90,000 for second. I think maybe 50 or 60. There's been some debate on exactly what that is, but the CDL tweeted 50, so I guess we've got to take their word for it. This is the bracket as it stands. So Thieves and FaZe, they are guaranteed top 3. Obviously, Ravens and Heretics are guaranteed top 4, and one of them is going to be top 4, and somebody else is going to make it further, maybe even further than that. Thieves FaZe, fascinating series really, because as I say, if you look at FaZe's run, they've 3-0'd both teams they played, but Ultra went out early to the Ravens, Boston went out early to the Cloud9 guys that then lost in the next round. So arguably Thieves' run against Ravens and Heretics, 2 teams that have come top 4, is actually, I mean, like, they've 6-1 map count, the teams that are on the championship Sunday. So that's pretty impressive. But of course, there's matchup dependent stuff. It is what it is. FaZe Thieves, the real story here, I guess, is Scrappy Drazah again. And in a LAN environment, Scrappy holds the head-to-head on Drazah. I think it's 7-1. So it's not even been a rivalry in recent times, but today it may well prove to be, because FaZe, their teamwork just looks so good. The pace they play at looks so good. Thieves, I think their individuals just feel a little bit more inconsistent right now. It feels like, you know, maybe someone turns up, maybe somebody doesn't. But yesterday, Envoy and Ghosty had really good days. So it's tough to call this tournament. Like, if I had to put money on it, I'd say FaZe probably are going to be the champions today. I think Thieves have a very good chance of winning a best of 7, as the grand finals might be, well, will be, then it could be a different story. I don't think Heretics or Ravens can really put up too much of a fight against either of those two teams. I mean, we've seen it against Thieves already, and I imagine it's a similar story against FaZe, but it's nonetheless a great story. And, you know, who knows? Maybe a team comes off that winner's final game, and they come up against Heretics or Ravens. I don't know who's going to win that series either, right? I mean, I want to lean Carolina's way just because they're search and destroy, but then Heretics have got the home fans, and imagine a top 3 be so mega for that organization. But very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.